Welcome to the Planner Writing webinar. My name is Florette Williams. I am the Instructional Design Specialist here at the University of Technology, working from the Office of Distance Learning. Thank you for choosing to share with us today in this Planner Writing webinar. As I mentioned, Planner Writing is really if you want to put what is your face-to-face course, if you want to put it fully online, then from here, this office, we have what is called a planner. It's an official document that we use when we're converting these face-to-face courses to what you want to be a fully online module. So it is a simple template I'm going to share with you today that you're able to work with it and produce the planner in no time. The planner is a very important document because it really shows us exactly what the course will look like. It's on paper, but it's going to show us all of what the course will look like. So the time that you spend on the planner is really going to be worth it, because when you're done, we have everything for the course fully online. In some arenas, people write scripts. So the script would be more detailed with all of the learning resources written out and, put actually on paper also. But here we ask you for the planner with the links and with the files attached and so on. So in this session, we're going to develop a planner, and there are 3 ways that we'll do that. We're going to source and add learning activities, or just say let's add learning activities. We're going to see how we can create authentic assessments. At least the reference will be made to what are our authentic assessments and the kinds that we can use in online courses. And then we're also going to skim what is a subject matter expert checklist for a review of planner. Hopefully, I'll show you how to it's just a checklist. So we're going to look at the points and tick them off. Those are what we are focusing on today in this session. So when we are designing a course for online, so let's say this is a blended course or a fully online, what obtains now a lot here at UTech is that people have what are web assisted or web enhanced courses, and that's fine. But these accompany what you do in the classroom on a face-to-face regular basis, you're lecturing. But what we're talking about now would be fully online courses or blended courses, which, maybe about more than 80% of what you want the students to learn are housed online, and their interaction is online, and their assessments are online and all of that. So just a small portion is face-to-face or actually offline. Or the fully online, where everything that they do is online. So they will not set foot on campus, let's say. They will not see you at any class unless it is by way of video conferencing. So the planner falls very early in the process. We have the training. We ask people to come in for training because there's no way you can really understand what's online unless you come and interact with what we have as UTechOnline or learning management system. Then we ask you to prepare a learner profile. Who are these people that you want to reach? And after that, we can move right into creating the planner. This will take a couple of hours of your time, but if you have your resources ready, it won't be anything that will last for weeks. If I should give an estimate of the number of hours it will take to do, let's say, an 8-unit module to get it into a planner, it probably takes 8 full hours, so you have to have that time to dedicate to doing it. So right here is where we're going to focus today, how to prepare the module planner. There are other steps that are in the process, as you go along. We will learn that after the planner is finished and we're moving on with the process. So here's the template that we use for the module planner. Most likely I'll ask you to just write the module title and the code. You can write your name and the date that you prepared the planner, or at least started preparing the planner, or when you're finished preparing the planner. In this section for unit title, you simply copy the unit title from the syllabus and paste it here. And let's say we're going to do unit by unit. So whatever unit 1 title is, you're going to paste it right here. Then we have the topics. What are the topics under unit 1? So these topics, we simply take them from the syllabus and put them right under the topics column, right beside the unit. So we are mapping across. Then we have objectives, and objectives will also follow what's on your syllabus. Yes, we want to pay attention to the objectives to make sure that they're specific, to make sure that they're measurable, to make sure they're achievable, that they're realistic, and there's some time, associated with them. When are the students going to achieve it? So you know that the objectives, we want them to be smart, as we would say. So normally I pay some attention to objectives just to make sure we're using the right words, just to make sure they're measurable, make sure they're achievable, and we see clearly the results that we want. So some examples that I just pulled from one of these nursing courses. The students need to define concepts. Yes, they need to describe the problem solving method. They need to identify, they need to list and differentiate. So these verbs will go well, for any student, because it's clear what they're expected to do. And so we want also that it's clear for the online course. So yes, you can always check your objectives, double check just to make sure they were written and approved, but check to make sure that there's none that's slipping through, that's not measurable enough, that's not specific enough, and we're not so sure what we want the students to do. So we fill all of those in the objectives column just from what's on the syllabus, and we review them and fill them in. We move on now to learning activities. This is a section that will require most of your attention, because this area is key. It is just really, what are the activities that you're going to have your students involved in order to learn the concepts. And we want to know that all of these things are sequenced, yes, in the order in which they should come. I don't know, you're going to probably have simple to complex, or whatever order is on the objectives or on the topics. How is it you want them to learn? We're going to bear that sort of sequencing in mind. We have to provide for the students opportunities for practice. So when you're writing the activities in this column, they will have to you have to put ways that the students can practice what they have read, something you want them to learn, but we want to see it being played out from their point of view. Review and application. There must be opportunities for the students to review and apply what we are teaching them, or you intend for them to learn. Then we have individual and collaborative activities. These must be in your learning activities. Each unit should have something, right, that the students can collaborate on. So something that the students can do an individual piece of work and submit to you. We want to know that online there is a certain social setting. So the students want to know that they have classmates there are other people there, and they can work together as they would in a face-to-face class. So there are several ways we're going to show you that we can get collaborative activities inside of our learning activities, inside of our modules, so the students can interact with content, interact with each other, and interact with the lecturer. Also, we want to make sure that whatever content we present, they're presented in multiple formats, okay? So we're giving them a variety of content, but we're also presenting it in multiple formats. We don't want to know that the students, only one way they ever see the notes, and it's a PDF document. Only one way they ever see the notes, and it is a PowerPoint presentation. Okay, and we don't take empty PowerPoints in terms of them either must have voice or they would have to be accompanied by the notes. Just to elaborate on the points, just to explain to the students what is what. So here are some examples for the learning activities column. We want to know that what is a unit overview is presented for all of the units. So you can use your voice to just tape something and say, this is what the unit is about, give them an overview of the unit. It can be done by text. You can type a couple of lines so the student knows from the get-go what this unit is all about. Very important. This has a second one here says getting started. So, basically it's like the introduction to something, and they've given them a link So they can click on this link and go to some file or the other. I think from Pearson's Education. It's an ebook link, and they go there and read. Then they have a video presentation. So when you give us the video link, we most normally will embed the video. So the students just simply click. We're not necessarily going to give them the link, but for the planner, it's the link that we want to see, and then we can fix it. Here are some others. We have reading. Can be just a chapter from their text. If they have a text and the understanding is there, if the text is available online, all the better. We can give them exactly. But I also want you to note that we don't give them the whole book. We would say chapter 10 or whatever it is, so that we do a little chunking of information so the students don't feel overwhelmed and they're there floating around and say, where is this now? Where can I find this? You actually give them the topic and the chapter. Then here is what is called a self-check activity. Here you can feel free to call it what you may, but the idea of self-check is that they are doing it for their own, understanding of the concepts, to check to see if they understand what's going on. Not necessarily a graded thing, not recommended to be a graded activity either, but the students are free to do it. It's there for them to practice. Here's another reading, and whatever document will be provided. If it's a word sheet you have, your notes, no problem, we'll take it. Supplemental reading, always good. We don't want to overwhelm them, but we want to know that they have options so they're able to read from different sources. Another video presentation, which is a tutorial. Right? So whatever the video is about, and if it enhances your course and helps the students to know what they're about, interact with the content and get into the meat of the matter, fine, we'll take that. Assignments, if these assignments are not graded, we can always put them here, but normally we have a column that is assessment column where all the graded assignments go. If they are not graded, we expect them to be under the learning activities block, but otherwise we put them in the assessment block if they're graded activities. More on that a little later. So we have completed the learning activities column. For the types of resources required column, we now would guide you as to the type of, let's say, what are we going to hold your file in? Is it a web-based file, so it's a click and go straight to the internet? Is it a video, audio file? Whatever you write in the learning activities column, we expect that you give us the idea of what is going to hold that piece of information in the types of resources required. So this is especially for us when we're fixing the course. We want to know that if you give us a PowerPoint, we're expecting that it's going to be a voice-over PowerPoint. So you'd come in and you sit and go over the lecture and just do what you're supposed to do. Yes? So because the students cannot just get a PowerPoint. They want to hear your voice, they want to hear the explanation for the points, and we recommend that highly. So the types of resources here will tell us what the learning activities, what we are to use to hold the learning activities, what technological tool we're going to use to hold whatever activity you gave us on in the learning activities column. We can also have a lot of LMS activities. Very happy to say that we have quite a number of wonderful tools and activities on UTechOnline that can be used to present the information to the students, the content. Then you can have files that you've created. So you might be a podcast, it might be just you sit there, you want to give them a lecture, you're not in the mood for a video picture of your face, but you want to have them hear your voice explaining the points. That's a very powerful way of presenting some content to the students. Also, we might have a video you want to do, a screencast. You want to demonstrate something and you're taping your own self demonstrating something. And believe me, your webcam on your laptop can do the job for you. Just position it in the right place. You can do that. Create your own. Most likely we will upload it as a YouTube video in our channel that we have unlisted, because the YouTube video goes over easier to students, different platforms that they use. Here we go. So what are web resources? Some examples: anything that's a web page and you send us a link to a web page, that would be. So from the moment the students can click, then it is a web resource. A picture that is housed online, a video that we have to go back to YouTube for, music, podcast, any kind of internet document. That is what we are looking at, and we are saying those are web resources. So any kind of a link. Here we go. So we have examples of some learning resources now. We mentioned the LMS page. I'm mentioning now the LMS page. Here it is. This is an example of an LMS page that we just picked up from UTechOnline. It has to do with my advanced training that is offered fully online. Now, this is just on this page, all we have is text, but the page can host a table, it can host pictures, it can host a video. Anything you want to put on a page, it will go on a page. So you can make your page as attractive and creative as possible. It can be just notes, whatever you want to do. But this is a web page, and it can be safe, it can be used safely to present content to students. Here are some tools for collaboration. This is the icon for a forum. This is for a chat. This is for a workshop. And on the right here, we have the Blackboard Collaborate button. So for the forums, we recommend discussions, throughout your module, so that the students can talk with each other. For each discussion, we normally say, we give them the number of words that they're to write. Okay, we give them when they are to post their first response. We say to them, when are they to reply to the other students' posts? And so we have the students talking to each other on a certain point. Okay, so let's say this is week 2, and whatever the question is from your topic, from your area, you're just going to write a question, nothing too hard, because most of the times these are not graded. These are just for like participation grades, and to see that the students are there and they're interacting and they're talking and they're building their own body of information, or their database or knowledge bank, whatever you want to call it, but they are talking together. They're building a melting pot of ideas. They're coming up with a melting pot of a lot of information and just building on what you have there. Okay, and the lecturer is free. When you're teaching the online course, you're free to go in, just drop in and say, okay, see your discussion, I see what you're saying, this is a good point, that's whatever. And we go ahead and discuss with them, because there must be social presence, there must be teacher presence online, and all the cognitive presence. We're strong in the cognitive and all, but when it comes to online learning, we have to go hand in hand with teacher presence and with social presence. Students don't want to be left alone. So the chat here, we normally put it on all of our fully online modules, because we want to know that there's an opportunity for the students to meet the lecturer. We call it office hours a lot. So you can put one on your module to say, okay, meet me at any time on a Wednesday at 8 o'clock, 8 p.m. I'll always go on and click on that course. So if you want to talk, I'm there. That is what the chat is about, office hours. So students who want to consult you about something can come online at the same time as you and do it. You can always save the chat, so those who missed the session, if they have a question, they can always go back and see what you said about a certain matter. Workshop is another way of getting the students to work together. Maybe a group project. Give them something and then use the workshop activity, and they'll be able to come up with a good project with each person's participation is seen and noted. Then we have the Blackboard Collaborate, which is pretty new, and we're introducing to all of our staff members. So the Blackboard Collaborate here is now in UTechOnline, and just a couple of weeks time, we'll be finished with our training here from Blackboard. So we'll be ready to open it to everyone and pass it on. It is a video software, video conferencing software. It's like your classroom. Okay, so you simply go on it to have a face-to-face class with your students. So you'll use your cameras and they'll use their cameras, they'll see you, you'll see them, and we're talking. They can ask you questions right there and then because you're online with them talking. Okay, and a lot of students will appreciate that. You yourself will appreciate that. Here we have tools for content presentation. I mean, more tools. So the ebook, we heard about the ebook where, you know, the library has a lot of ebooks. There's just some great databases, online databases in the library. So for example, you have that, we simply put the link there and the students are able to go straight to the text and they're able to read. This other icon represents the LMS book. So in the learning management system, which is our UTechOnline, there is what is called a book where we can simply populate it. So you can put your notes in chapters, just like how you'd want it. And it's very easy to navigate. The students are able to click back, forward, click on a chapter, whatever they do. And it packages your notes in a wonderful way. So the book, you can use that to present the data. So on the right, we have here a file. File is something that you just upload. You know, you have your Word file, your PDF file, your Excel, it doesn't matter. You can upload a file. I'm sure most people know about that. The folder represents just a little packaging for your file. So suppose you have 10 tutorial sheets or 20 past papers. Instead of having all of them listed down the line on the front of the course page, we put them in a folder and name it past papers or something. And so when the students click on the folder, they will see the different files in there. It keeps your page neat. Then we have IMS packages, SCORM packages that you create yourself. So it's really an authoring tool, of course, that you put all of your resources in. It could be a video, it could be some text, whatever it is, but you're creating what is like a learning object for the students. So they're able to click on it, move from one to the next, and they're able just to go ahead and get just a broader picture of whatever you wanted to see. Sometimes the notes alone can't do it, but you want to put everything together in one place and, you know, even interject a question or two and there to click and answer the question and move on. But it can be quite interactive. You can get all the information about the details about these kinds of things from us here. Just make an appointment with the training officer and you're able to schedule your training to come in and know how to use these appropriately on your courses. We have labels, and labels, we recommend those for all of our courses. You know, sometimes you want a video, just a quick video, and we want to put it on a label. So as they look on the course pages there, we can do that. Any type of text, whatever you want to put, as you would put on a page, you can put on a label, except that the label is going to present it right out front on the front of the course page. NLN learning object here presents a whole database of reading material on short courses that you can have your students explore on the subject matter that you're teaching. So we have here self-check exercises. The first one is a quiz. You're free to use quizzes. Lovely quizzes are online. So make some short quizzes, 10 multiple choice, and just give that to the students during the time that they're learning on your module. So we want it to be interactive, you know, not just notes, but let's say a pre-test, and at the end you give them another one at the end of the unit, a post-test, and they're seeing how they're doing it. Not necessarily that is graded, but it's just to help them along. Then we have hot potato games and several other games. We have snake and ladder. We have all sorts of other games online that you can configure. You just need a glossary and then you go ahead and create the games so that the students can interact with it. We have assignments. Assignments can be done as group or individually. You know, it can be a regular assignment, but they're submitting it online. You give them the date, you set the cutoff date, and you know, they can't submit if the date has passed and things like those. So you're free to set what you want. If they can take forever to hand it in, then you don't set a cutoff date. But you have a due date, and if they're late, it will tell you how many hours they're late and whatever it is. But it's a very good way of hearing from your students, presenting them with their assessments or just self-check kind of exercises. We can present content again, but just using documents and files. I mentioned files before. So we have the Word file, we have the PDF, we have spreadsheet, we have PowerPoint presentations, we have podcasts, we have MP4 and MP3 files, and we have tables. Whatever it is, however you want to present the content, here we can help with those. The MP4 would really be a video file, you know, and normally, like I said, we would want to upload that to our YouTube channel so that it is more portable and students are able to easily access it. Sometimes you have an MP4 and you hear, oh, but I can't get on, and they're writing to you in the chat or on the forum, and they're saying I can't get on to the video file. So normally we convert it to what is the YouTube already compressed and, you know, ready for to take off wherever the students are. Sometimes they have internet connection that's not so strong, and the MP4 by itself might be taking up too much, you know, broadband, too much space. So you use the YouTube and we get it going. Then we have MP3, it's just a voice audio file, let's say, and so you're free to create your own. So then those are the types of resources. We just looked at those, giving you some examples of types of resources. Now, let us look at assessment strategies. So it says this section should be based on the assessment strategies outlined in the syllabus, right? And we are pushing for authentic assessments. We're pushing for those that with real life relevance. And yet we have to pay attention to what the testing and assessment policy says. So on the testing and assessment policy, you will see that for online, we are indeed highlighting the need to use authentic assessments and so on. So authentic assessments have to do with that type of unique activity that creates little opportunity for the student to replicate what somebody else has. Okay, so you ask the question in such a way, or you give them this project to do, or, you know, a problem to solve, and they're solving it in a group and they're working together. There's no room for them to plagiarize. There's no room for them to copy other people's work, because that scenario that you've given them, that problem, that project you've given them is unique to their situation. Okay, how you write it, how you word it means that they have to draw from what they've learned so far, from their experiences, in order to answer your questions. So others are like simulations. We have reflections. We have web quests, you know, web quests. We have experiments, we have demonstrations. You can ask them to do a demonstration for you. So they're right there with the webcam and they're doing it, and you're hearing their voice and they're working at it, and they send the video to you online. Okay, a lot of students are able to manage. They have their phones, they do it all the time, take a video and send it. That we're encouraging that when you're writing your assessments. Ask them to create an e-portfolio. Okay, so instead of you do it in the face, you do a portfolio in the face-to-face class. So go ahead and have them create an e-portfolio for online. All right, and then do some activity with peer assessment. I mentioned the workshop activity before. You can do that and have them assess each other's work. So this idea of a problem-based assessment, we mentioned it earlier. It's student-centered. It's inquiry-based. Yes, and students, it's like they find the gaps in their knowledge, they conduct research and they apply their learning to develop solutions. So that's a problem-based solving, coming up with a solution for something. A web quest also is an inquiry-based sort of thing, an online tool. Okay, and you can put them in groups. So they're about to find out something, they're to explore, discover, learning, they're to come up with something, but most of the information or the information you expect them to use, they go straight to the web and find it. I want to suggest rubrics for all of these assessments. Let's begin to put rubrics there, not just a mark scheme, but we want detailed rubrics. So then we say, you know, whatever the objective was that you want them to do. Now you're looking and you're saying to them, okay, if you give me what I'm asking for in number 4, column 4, that's exemplary, you're going to get the highest grade. And this is what I'm looking for. The highest level, the highest standards. All of these things, what I'm asking for must be in there. And then I can see you're getting a number 4. So go to the website that's here if you want ideas how to configure some of these rubrics that are there to make them applicable or relevant to your content area, your question, your course. Then you go to Ruby Star and look at it. So you give the students exactly what you'll be marking for. Nothing more, nothing less. So if that student say, okay, I want a full grade, they're going to go to the rubric and they're going to see what the lecturer is asking for. What is the question asking me to do? I'm going to do it. And so they can maximize their grade. All right, we're not hiding any information from them. They're not with you. These fully online students are students who are doing blended courses. They're not with you. So you want to give them all the information. So all they have to do is click and look at their, they don't have to email you, they don't have to call you, because everything is there for them to guide them through doing their very best. So the rubric is a must. So here's the planner. And I think we're basically at the end of making our planner. All right, I'm sure it was a wonderful journey for you. Let's go. We have, first of all, the unit title. Whatever the unit title is, let's put it in the column. Okay, here are some of the topics. We simply put them in the column, doing it unit by unit. The objective for this unit, they're going to identify, right? The standards of care for observation and so on. So they're identifying something. That's the first objective. Then the learning activity, the first one, they're going to get a unit overview. Then you get them started with PowerPoint presentation, right? And they're to look at slides 3 to 11. We chunk the information so they realize, okay, for this, I just need to go to slide 11 from 3 to 11, read it, and I'm good to go. All right, so we start off learning activities with the overview and whatever else we're giving them. So for the unit overview, the type of resources, it will be put on an LMS page. I mean, if you wanted to give me a little video and you say, okay, this is an MP3 file, no problem. But in this case, this unit overview will be text and it will be on a page. Okay, even if it has a podcast, it's still going to be put on a page, LMS page. That is a page out of the learning management system that we have here, UTechOnline. Okay, it's a web page. And then for the getting started PowerPoint over here, it's going to be a PowerPoint with screencast. So you're talking to the student while the PowerPoint is going. So each time they advance, they hear you explaining the points. That's a PowerPoint with screencast. Then for the assessment strategy, they have online participation, 5%. They have a little reflection to do in their journal, and it's 5%. So it's going to be a graded assessment. Like we said before, only the graded assessments should go in that column. Now, here we are looking at the SME checklist for review of the planner. This is the easy part. Now you have created the planner. There are cases where the planners are created and you, the subject matter expert, did not do it. Okay? You ask somebody else to do it for you. In that case, especially, you're going to have to check for these. All right? Check the sequence and details of each topic to make sure that they're accurate. You tick if it's yes, if it's no. Or write no in the column, sorry. Or write yes. If you have any comments to say, oh, this is so because, or whatever, for me to understand why it's not, or why, whatever, put the comments, all right? So for the checklist, we simply go through what we're asking for, okay? Learning activities including assignments can be performed with the resources and time available to the learners. Is it really realistic when you're looking at it as the SME? Okay, and you tell me, are you yes, and you give me whatever comments you need to put in the column. So it's really just a little more than a one-page document. Okay, look at the content. if everything is relevant, is, you know, especially if somebody else worked, even if you worked, you're going to be asked to do this, even if you wrote it, just go back through just to make sure that we're doing the right thing. Right, I have recommended the use of available ebooks and resources. Do you have any of those in there? We need to know that you have ebooks, you have something, online resources for the students to use, because in fact, they are online. I have prepared rubrics for all assessment activities. That must be checked, and most likely we want that to be yes. All right, so it goes, that's just the checklist. All right, that is basically the checklist. Very easy to know that you're just, what is it that we have done? Am I satisfied with it? Right, so basically that's what I wanted you to learn today from what we had to say. We looked at all of the resources, the tools, we looked at just getting the planner prepared, how we should do our assessments, and we just glanced really over completing the SMA checklist for review of planner. So I really want to thank you for joining me for this webinar. And I hope you learned something. Feel free to contact this office. You have our numbers. Call us when you're ready to write your planner. You know, you don't have to wait until the rush is on. You can start a planner and you can just keep working at it, especially if you're usually that busy professional, you know. Start your planner and let's go get cracking. It's not a difficult thing to do because it's basically what you do every day, except we want it in this fashion and we want it with technology attached to it. All right, thank you very much.